What Scottish clans are descended from the Vikings? What do we know about the meaning of these clan surnames? Who was the first person to bear this clan name? And what do we know about their DNA? Now today I've taken you to the beautiful Dunvegan Castle on the incredible Island of Skye. And there aren't many places in the world better equipped to tell the story of Scottish clans with Viking or Norse origin than the beautiful Isle of Skye. Now Dunvegan Castle has been the ancestral seat of the chiefs of Clan MacLeod for around 800 years. And it is often described as the oldest continuously inhabited castle in Scotland. The site began as a medieval stronghold in the 13th century, built on a rocky outcrop beside Loch Dunvegan. And over the centuries it was expanded, rebuilt and remodelled into the castle we see today. Now perhaps not surprisingly, the first clan on the list is Clan MacLeod. Now the name MacLeod means son of loud, and loud is linked to a similar Old Norse name. In Scottish and Irish surnames in general, Mac or Mick just means son of. Now clan tradition says Loud was a younger son of Olaf the Black, a 13th century king of the Isles, though historians treat some of the genealogy with caution. Now one of the most famous objects at Dunvegan Castle is the fairy flag of Dunvegan. According to tradition, it was given to Clan MacLeod by a fairy woman, and it could be unfurled in times of danger to save the clan. Now one of the things I find most fascinating about the history of Scotland, especially when it comes to the Hebrides, the Western Isles, is this fusion of Gaelic lineages and Gaelic culture, and then the Norse influence, the Viking influence as well. And you get this really interesting mix, the Norse-Gaels as they are known, and this obviously speaks to these clans we're discussing today, but this fusion of Gaelic and Nordic influence and culture, and even naming traditions, that you still see in places like Skye today. And the Kingdom of the Isles exemplifies this, a Norse-Gaelic kingdom comprising the Isle of Man, the Hebrides, and the islands of the Clyde, from the 9th to the 13th centuries. Clan MacLeod generally has two main branches, which according to tradition were founded by Loud's sons, Tormod and Torkil. They are the MacLeods of Dunvegan, Harris and Glenelg, and the MacLeods of Lewis, Assynt and Rassay. But when did the surnames start being used? Well, the earliest known person actually recorded with the surname MacLeod was probably Galandres MacLeod, mentioned in 1227. The first members of the family to appear in contemporary records, however, are Malcolm MacLeod and Torkil MacLeod, who are recorded in the Royal Charter in 1343. Yet what do we know about their DNA? Well, because surnames are passed down the male line alongside Y-DNA haplogroups, there is often a link between these two. And when it comes to the MacLeods, they are strongly linked to the Y-DNA SNP, R by 3210. This is downstream from R1b DF27, with DF27 peaking in Iberia today, but is an ancient marker in the Atlantic world in general. It is still relatively common in Scotland, for instance, and we know that other clans like the Bruces are also downstream from this broad marker. Now the two main branches of Clan MacLeod are linked to different SNPs downstream from this marker, with the MacLeods of Harris and Dunvegan associated with the RFTT 137 subclad. The MacLeods of Lewis and Rassay, on the other hand, are associated with another subclad, RFTT 138, which are both descended from the shared marker R by 3210. Although this is the primary chief line, other MacLeods and septs of the clan fall into other haplogroups, such as branches of more Scandinavian or Norse haplogroups like I1 and R1A. It's also worth noting that there are also many septs of Clan MacLeod that show this Norse influence. A famous one is the MacAskill family, traditionally regarded as a sept of the MacLeods of Dunvegan. MacAskill comes from the Gaelic name MacAskill, meaning son of Asgill. Tradition says the family descended from a Norse warrior named Askill, linked to the Viking world of Dublin and the Isles in the 12th century. Now the second clan on the list is Clan Gunn, one of the most famous Scottish clans of Norse origin. Now Gunn actually comes from an Old Norse word, Gunner, that meant war. The clan comes from Caithness, Sutherland in the far north, an area long tied to the Norse Earls of Orkney. Their traditional ancestor was Gunny, said to have married Ranhild, a woman connected to the Norse Jarls of Orkney and the old rulers of Caithness. Now, Clan Gunn's story feels more saga-like than most other Scottish clans. Their traditions also connect them to Sven Asleifsson, sometimes called the ultimate Viking of the Orkneyinga saga. Even if every detail cannot be proved, the geography, names and traditions all point to a clan formed in the Norse-Celtic frontier of northern Scotland. The first historically confirmed chief or member of the clan is generally considered to be George Gunn, known as the coroner of Caithness, who lived in the 15th century. As for the earliest known written record of the name in a Scottish context, there are some large gaps, but a recognisable variant of the Gunn surname belongs to a man named Ingram Gunn. He appears in a charter from 1329 during the reign of King David II, where he is recorded as a witness to a land transaction. Now, as far as the DNA of the Gunns, there is yet to be a very specific snip tied to the clan from my research. Yet in a broader context, the DNA of Clan Gunn represents a classic Picto-Norse hybrid confederation, showing that the clan was a territorial alliance rather than a single biological family line. The paternal elite and core lineages often carry branches of haplogroup I1, confirming their traditionally oral history of descent from Norse Viking settlers in Caithness and Orkney. Meanwhile, a massive portion of the clan also belongs to branches of R1b, such as R1b L21, representing the deep, indigenous Celtic and Pictish population that lived in the region and eventually adopted the Gunn name for protection and allegiance. Now, the third one on the list is a very famous one, Clan Donald or Clan MacDonald, and the name of course means son of Donald. Now, Donald comes from the Gaelic personal name Donal, which is very ancient and roughly means world ruler or ruler of the world, reflecting the clan's powerful heritage. The clan descends from Donal, a grandson of the great 12th century Norse-Gaelic lord Somerled, whose descendants became lords of the Isles. Now, the earliest known person to actually use the MacDonald surname was likely Donald's son, traditionally identified as Angus More MacDonald. He lived in the mid to late 1200s and became one of the earliest chiefs of the clan. And the clan is actually connected to a castle on Skye that I visited, called Armadale Castle, which has beautiful views, as you can see. To be fair, most places in Skye have beautiful views. Anywhere you look, there is beautiful views. But what about Clan Donald's DNA? Well, we know that the Y-DNA marker, strongly linked to Somerled himself and his descendants, is RYP326. This is a branch downstream from R1AZ284, a branch that peaks in Norway and parts of Scandinavia today and down through history, and was largely brought into Scotland by the Vikings and then later Scandinavian or Norse migrations. And branches of RYP326 are linked to clans who claim descent from Somerled. Now, as far as the snip connected to Clan Donald itself, RFGC11896 is the main one, with the man who is the most recent common ancestor of this line estimated to have been born around 1200 AD. A smaller group is also connected to another closely related one, RFT75692. The fourth clan of Viking origin or Norse origin is Clan MacIver, a very famous one, meaning son of Iver of course. And in the Viking world, Ivar was a very popular name and is also linked to different historical figures like Ivar the Boneless. The MacIvers were associated with Argyll in the Western Highlands, regions heavily shaped by Norse-Gaelic interaction. The earliest recorded person actually using the surname appears to have been Malcolm MacIver, an early spelling of MacIver, recorded in 1292 in the sheriffdom of Argyll or Lorne. As far as genetics, Clan MacIver's DNA reflects a classic Highland melting pot, split between two distinct ancestral roots. In Argyll, the lineage is predominantly native Gaelic, carrying the Atlantic Celtic R1b L21 marker associated with historical MacIvers and Campbells. Meanwhile, in the Isle of Lewis and Western Ross, the clan lives up to its Norse name, son of Ivar, showing a high concentration of Scandinavian Viking haplogroups like I1 and R1a, the result of deep maritime integration in the Outer Hebrides. Now the fifth clan on the list is Clan MacDougall. Now the MacDougalls trace their ancestry back to Somerled once again, the Norse-Gaelic ruler in the 12th century that controlled large parts of the western seaboard of Scotland and the Isles. Somerled himself was of mixed Norse and Gaelic ancestry, and his descendants would go on to found several major west coast clans, including the MacDonalds that we discussed earlier. The clan takes its name from Somerled's eldest son, Dougal, and thus the name means son of Dougal. The personal name Dougal itself means dark foreigner or dark stranger, a term the Gaels often used for Norse or Viking settlers, especially those of darker Danish origin compared to the fair foreigners linked to Norwegians. And we do actually know that Danish Vikings had slightly darker hair on average than Swedish or Norwegian Vikings, according to a massive study on Viking DNA, so this was actually true, which is quite interesting, or true to some extent. Now as far as Clan MacDougall's DNA, they again trace back to RYP326, the shared Somerled signature, a branch of the Norse R1a Z284 marker. The particular MacDougall snip is RYP5543, separating them slightly from the closely related MacDonalds. Modern testing has isolated downstream snips as well, linked to the MacDougall family and different lines of the chief lines. These are FT51444 and FT11770, with the University of Strathclyde doing a breakdown of the MacDougalls in general that you can find more information if you want to on the different subclads. Now the sixth clan on the list is Clan MacAlister. And for those who were paying attention earlier when we were discussing Clan MacDonald, you would have saw Clan MacAlister in the breakdown. This is because it was initially a branch of Clan Donald. Now the name MacAlister comes from the Gaelic MacAlister, meaning son of Alistair. Alistair is the Scottish Gaelic form of Alexander, a name ultimately derived from the Greek, meaning defender of men or protector of mankind. The clan traces its ancestry back to Alistair More MacDonald, a younger son of Donald, founder of Clan Donald, and descendant of the great Norse-Gaelic ruler Somerled. Given this, you can see the strong genetic overlap with Clan Donald when it comes to the snip RFGC 11896, as they share very similar roots. Seventh on the list is the MacAulays of Lewis. Now the MacAulays of Lewis believe they were the sons of Olaf, a Norse warlord. And this is the Gaelic word for the Norse name Olaf, which became known as Macaulay over time, or the son of Olaf. And the family were centred around Uig or Uuk in the Outer Hebrides, another area deeply shaped by the Viking or Norse settlement. Now I should note that not all Macaulays share the same origin. There are and were different Macaulay families in Scotland and Ireland, and the Loch Lomond Macaulays are not the same as the Lewis group. Now, despite the Norse origin of their name, some DNA testing research indicates that many people in this family are actually descended from a man with Irish ancestry. He is thought to have migrated to the Isle of Lewis in the late 1200s or so, and a branch of R1b-L21, a key marker of more Atlantic Celtic ancestry, is common in the MacAulays of Lewis family. This is RFGC 29773, with the man who is the most recent common ancestor of this line estimated to have been born around 1300 AD. Yet other MacAulays of Lewis carry some more Norse haplogroups as well, showing this fusion of Norse and Gaelic lineages. So these are some of the main Scottish clans of Viking origin. There are obviously a lot, and there's lots of different septs of each clan, but these are some of the main ones. And please let me know what clan you belong to and if you've got Viking or Norse origin in your clan history. But obviously the MacLeods are one of the most famous, if not the most famous, Scottish clan of Norse origin. So obviously coming to Skye and Dunvegan Castle was the perfect place for this video. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit the bell. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.